So I'm about to tell you what a lot of astrologers aren't telling you in regards to this new moon in Pisces that's coming up on March 18th. So yeah, we get it. Pisces energy. Maybe you keep waking up at 3 a.m. and you can't tell whatever it is you're feeling if that is yours. Maybe there's a heaviness in your chest. Maybe there's that restlessness that won't name itself. The sense that something ended and nobody told you. So you're still showing up for the thing that already left the building, and you're trying to organize your way out of it. You're trying to make it make sense with bullet points and next steps, a plan, but the thing won't organize. And the reason why we're so unorganized right now is because this moment isn't asking you to do anything yet. It's asking you to see differently first. This new moon in Pisces is not an intention-setting lunation. It's a perception-shifting one. The seed you're planting right now isn't some goal. The seed is the lens through which we see the world through. So let's ground this for a moment here. March 18th, 2026, we have a new moon at 28 degrees of Pisces. That is the very last breath of the zodiacal year. 2 days after this, the sun crosses into Aries and the astrological new year begins. But right now, we're still standing in the doorway, and the doorway is crowded. We got 5 planets in Pisces at once: Sun, Moon, Mercury retrograde, Mars, and the North Node, all in the water, all in the same sign. So the psychic volume is maxed out. And here's what matters most. Neptune spent 14 years in Pisces from 2011 to 2025, 14 years of dissolution, information getting dissolved into disinformation, spiritual practice dissolved into spiritual performance. Like the boundaries between what's real and what's curated collapsed so slowly that most of us didn't notice. Some of us couldn't even feel anymore because we were feeling everything at the same time. All the time. When the world live streams its own destruction, the body shuts the volume down. Now, recently, Neptune left Pisces last January. Saturn and Neptune met at 0 degrees of Aries on February 20th, and they've already walked through the door. And here's what's sitting with me. The fog Neptune created didn't leave when Neptune left. The deep fakes are still here. The algorithmic manipulation is still here. The post-truth infrastructure is still running. The fog became the architecture. So what this new moon is really asking us is, now that you can see the fog was fog, what are you going to do with your eyes? This is where most astrology content is getting it all wrong. Everyone is saying that this is about intentions and release and closure, plant your seeds, trust the dark. And look, the sun and moon in Pisces, they're together. So technically some of that applies. But the evolutionary direction right now, the actual growth we're meant to embark on right now, is not about intention setting. It's about perception shifting. Let me talk about what that really means here. The North Node has been in Pisces for some time. The South Node has been in Virgo for some time now. So the collective growth mission is Pisces. The comfort zone now, the South Node comfort zone, the pattern we keep defaulting to is Virgo, which is the shadow of Virgo. Fix it, plan it, sort it. This is wrong, that is wrong, this is wrong, that is wrong. And when someone says, set your intentions at this new moon, they're speaking in Virgo language. And we need to be speaking Pisces language, okay? We're not trying to arrange the future into something manageable before it happens. The evolutionary invitation is different. What if, before you do anything, you really let yourself see the whole spectrum here? The grief and the beauty, the anger and the celebration, every color, without sorting them into steps. Because here's the thing I keep coming back to. We've gotten so good at calling things out, really expert at identifying what is wrong. And that's Virgo energy applied with a megaphone. But what are we calling in? That is the Pisces question. Not what do I want to build? That's very much Aries. Not what is broken? That's very much Virgo. The Pisces question is, what am I willing to see that I haven't been willing to see? That is the seed you want to see. The seed is how you see, and there is choice in that. But here's what nobody's talking about, and this is where the real teaching lives. This new moon falls in the third decan of Pisces. That's the territory of the 10 of Cups. And it's not just the happy family under the rainbow that you've probably seen 1,000 times. That image, the one where everything's perfect and the children are dancing, that's the ending of a movie. That's the credits rolling. And this card knows something about credits rolling. The 10 of Cups is the very last numbered card of the entire tarot cycle. This is the whole journey. Aces through tens, wands through cups, starts in Aries with a spark of fire and ends here in Pisces, in water, in the fullness of everything that journey costs. And in the tarot tradition, this decan is called the Rainbow Unwoven. Newton split white light through a prism and showed us that the colors are hiding inside of it. And Keats mourned that. He called it unweaving the rainbow, the loss of mystery. And that's the tension of this card. The rainbow is both a work of imagination and a work of science, both the fiction of a happy ending and the physics of light actually being made of separate colors all along. And that is us. That is this moment. That is this experience. We are all the colors. We are the grief, the anger, the joy, the pain, the pleasure, the celebration of it all. And for 14 years, Neptune in Pisces gave us the undifferentiated light. Everything merged, truth and fiction, compassion and performance, connection and codependency. Everything dissolved into everything else. And some of that dissolution was beautiful. The pandemic showed us we could come together. We shared resources. We adapted. We read the room and responded with something that looked a lot like love, a lot like Pisces. And then, in a very Piscean way, we forgot. We re-entered the extractive system like the compassion had a 2-year expiration date. The 10 of Cups holds that memory, not as some form of nostalgia, but as evidence. We showed ourselves. We know how to do this. The cup is full of those years that cost you something, but it's also full of proof that unity isn't some crazy, unapproachable fantasy. We lived it. We just didn't sustain it. Another important mention is that Mars rules this decan of Pisces as well. So this is the warrior energy submerged in water, fire underwater. That anger you feel when you watch the news and your body tightens and you think, I have to do something. That's Mars in Pisces, compassion in action. That's the 10 of Cups asking, what are you going to do with a cup that's full? Not empty, full of grief and proof and fury and tenderness and everything this last cycle gave us. So the question isn't whether the cup overflows, because it does. The question is, what's in it? Mercury is also retrograde right now, and it's sitting right next to the North Node in Pisces, and it stations direct on March 20th, the same day the sun enters Aries, the spring equinox. So we're in this threshold moment with the messenger planet still walking backward. And here's what that means for you specifically. There's a lot of conversations that keep circling back. A conversation you probably keep having with yourself, something you wrote and then you closed without finishing, something you almost said and then you swallowed it. The loop isn't some malfunction. Mercury is not trying to punish you here. Mercury retrograde conjunct the North Node in Pisces is saying the thought spirals are our compass. Your unconscious is trying to complete something your conscious mind keeps interrupting, okay? So I want to ask you this directly. What keeps coming back? Not the thing you've already solved, the thing you keep circling back to. The one thing that won't leave you alone, no matter how many times you try to file it away. Your Virgo instinct, which all of us have a little Virgo energy in us, your Virgo instinct wants to solve it. It wants to turn the discomfort into steps. It wants to make this moment productive. And I get that. I do the same thing. But the thought isn't a problem to solve. It's pointing somewhere. The North Node in Pisces says it's pointing toward faith, toward the bigger picture you can't organize your way into, toward trust and knowing and surrender and the dream. We have forgotten the dream. Mercury stations direct in 2 days after this lunation. So the clarity will land then. But right now, we're gathering. We're listening to what keeps surfacing. And the resolution comes when Mercury moves forward, but not right now. Now you just have to follow that compass. All right? Another important mention, I think, is that we got to talk about the Sabian symbol as well. The Sabian symbol for 29 degrees of Pisces is light breaking into many colors through a prism. The prism doesn't destroy light. It reveals what was always inside. One thing becomes many. Unity separates into colors you can actually hold. And here's what I think is the deepest teaching of this Sabian symbol. You can't build with undifferentiated oneness. You can't pick up white light and hammer a nail with it. You need specific colors. You need specific commitments. You need joy and grief and anger directed at specific things. So I think part of the resolution here with this lunation is learning to embrace all of the colors, no matter how uncomfortable it is right now. Saturn and Neptune met at 0 degrees of Aries on February 20th, and Neptune is that light. It's boundless, it's formless, it's undifferentiated. Saturn is that prism. It's the structure. It's the boundary that gives the light somewhere to land. They conjoined at the very beginning of the zodiac, so a new 36-year cycle has begun and has opened. And here's what history has shown us time and time again about Saturn meeting Neptune. There's an acute sensitivity to suffering, a serious, sometimes somber spiritual vision. There's this capacity to think outside of every conventional structure of belief as well. Depression and despair living right alongside prophetic clarity. That's the both and of this conjunction. You feel everything more acutely and you see further than you've ever seen before, both at the same time together, neither one canceling the other. All colors, all spectrums of that rainbow. Now, this new moon in Pisces is that light approaching the prism. And 2 days after this lunation, we enter Aries season and the colors begin to appear. Spring begins to blossom. Everything you sat with during Neptune's 14 years in this sign, all that dissolution, all that compassion fatigue, all that numbing, all that beauty, all of it finally separates into something you can name, into specific threads you can actually build with. All right? This rainbow imagery, right, isn't some reward for surviving the fog. It's you finally seeing that the light was never one thing. It was always every color. You just couldn't see them separately until something made the light slow down. We need every color. We need sadness. We need the rage. We need the joy and the grief and the celebration. Every shade without apology. That's the prism. That's Pisces. That's what makes whatever comes next worth building. Now, I need to get real about something that's been shifting with me since I started working on this. The Iran war is happening right now. While Saturn and Neptune, That conjunction literally opened all of this. I've been talking about this being the signature of war and very Aries, very dominant. And now all of this is happening while 5 planets sit in water and a new moon is asking us for groundedness. People are dying. The body counts are rising and the collective grief is rising. There seems to be like there's not enough oxygen right now to actually process all of this because the next thing is already happening. And look, I'm behind a screen making content, living a life where I look around and I think, wow, I'm so lucky. My safety isn't under the same threat. And that privilege comes with the responsibility that I'm still figuring out how to carry. So here's what I'll offer. Not a framework, not a 10-step plan, just this. Make sure your life is not in vain. How you move through a Tuesday is a political statement. The way you show up for the people in front of you is an argument for the world you believe in. Your security, if you have it, is not some neutral thing to live by. It's a resource, and Pisces is asking you to hold that with both hands, with reverence. Pisces says, see the whole spectrum, feel it all. Don't turn away from the news. Don't numb yourself out, but also don't let that grief paralyze you into the kind of inaction that looks like empathy, but functions as complicity. When I asked myself how to hold this teaching alongside people whose lives are actively under threat, the honest answer was, I don't know. I'm not in it. I can't speak from inside that experience. And I'm naming what I don't know is the only protection I have against turning someone else's suffering into my content. That honesty, that willingness to say, I'm figuring this out too, that's the difference between compassion and the performance of compassion. Dare to dream right now, my loves, even while we're crying, even while we're shouting, even while we're in shock. Keep moving, but keep moving with a dream. Do not lose hope. That is what this new moon is really all about. All right, so 2 days until the sun crosses into Aries on March 20th and the building begins. This new moon is that last breath of Pisces that says, remember why we're doing this. This is the last moment of standing in the water before you step into the fire. What did you metabolize from the last 14 years? What is your cup? Not the Instagrammable version of your cup, the real one, the one that's full of what it cost you to stay feeling in a world that rewards numbness. The seed you're planting isn't a goal, it's a lens. How you choose to see while everything's ending and beginning at the same time. In 2 days, Mercury stations direct, and all this sort of floaty abstract thought that's been circling gets somewhere. So in 2 days, that sun enters Aries, and now we start moving. But right now, we're gathering. We're letting the light approach the prism. You are the dominant source of your own influence, not some algorithm, not some echo chamber, not the version of yourself that somebody else's fear needs you to be. Your perception, your choice about which colors to carry forward. This is the Pisces new moon. Perception shifting over intention setting. Seeing everything before you do anything. So if you want to go deeper, if you want to know how this new moon is landing in your specific chart, your houses, the territory that matters to your story right now, well, then come find us in the collective. It's my private membership community. I have horoscopes on there. They're specific to your rising sign, specific to what you're living through. And if you want to sit with this teaching in real time, we're hosting a workshop that night. So come through. We love to have you. Dare to dream, dare to be bold. I love you so much. Bye for now.